friends. Today marks exactly 1 year since Monish and I embarked on what I called Tour de Thakore, which that was the name of our road trip from when we moved from Houston, Texas, all the way to New York City, which was a super exciting and fun adventure that I want to just recap really fast. So first of all, I was born and raised in Texas. I grew up in Lake Jackson, Texas, which is a small town about an hour south of Houston. And then back in 2014, 2014, I moved to Houston, the big city, is what I thought of it as back then at least. And I lived there for about 11 and a half years, almost 12 years actually. So Monish and I met in Houston. He's originally from India and we started dating in 2020. Long story short, the pandemic caused me to have a career crisis like most of us had, and I decided that I hated the career path I was on at the time. So Monish asked me if I could do anything in the world, what would I do? And instantly I said fashion. So if you've been following my channel for a while, then you know I'm a fashion designer, that is what I am passionate about. I have all kinds of shorts and videos about fashion and sewing, and it is truly my passion. So back in 2020, Monish actually convinced me to go to school for fashion design, which I had never been to college before. So that was a very big thing for me. And it was scary and also exhilarating and exciting. But I told him, if I'm gonna go to fashion school in Houston, then the goal is for us to move to New York City, and I'm gonna transfer to FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology. And this is what I'm gonna do with my life. That's what I want. If I'm gonna start this is where we're gonna go. And to my delight, he said, let's do it, absolutely. So flash forward to the spring of 2025. I am on my way to graduating from the Houston Community College, now Houston City College, with my associate's degree in fashion design, and we are planning our move to New York City. But I was looking into it, and it is extremely expensive to move across the country. It's literally like 2,000 miles, you guys. Like, here's the exact amount, which I looked up later. But it is a very, very expensive endeavor if you don't do it yourself. So you can pay people to do it and pay ass loads of money, which I am not here for. I'm cheap. I'm like, no, let's figure out a better route. Well, I was actually brainstorming one day. We were actually at the Kima Boardwalk, if anyone's familiar with that. And I thought about it and I told him, I was like, Monish, don't you have family who live in Atlanta, Georgia? I was like, South Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland. I was like, that's 4 states on the way to New York City. Why don't we just do a road trip and just stay with your family along the way? These are family members who have been wanting me to come stay in their home, which if you're not familiar with Indian traditions or anything involving Indian culture, it is really important that a new wife or a new family member, so in this case, me marrying into the family, they want to show hospitality by inviting me to come stay in their home. That is one of the coolest things. I love this about Indian culture. So I told him, I was like, we're just gonna hit a bunch of birds with one stone, right? Like, we can move. We'll stay at people's houses, which will be great. They have all been calling us to come anyways. That'll save us a ton of money if we just do it ourselves and drive ourselves. And guys, let me tell you, he was not here for it. He was like, no, he was dreading the idea of driving this big old truck, which it was only 15 feet, but he didn't really want to do it. And I finally convinced him. I told him, I was like, okay, well, if you can find something cheaper, then we'll go your route. But if you can't, then let's do this. So we called all the family members and told them the dates, and everybody was super excited. And I made these shirts for me and Monish, and I really wanted to make them for the rest of the family and just like drop them off as we stayed at each of their houses. But he told me no, that was too extra. So instead, I made this banner here that I made everybody hold and take photos with us because I'm super extra, obviously. And I was so mad because I mentioned the shirts and everybody was like, yeah, we would have loved shirts. So next time I'm just gonna do it. So the trip was gonna be first from Houston to Atlanta, Georgia. However, that would have been about 12 and a half hours if we would have gone straight from Houston to Atlanta, and both of us decided no, like we don't want to do that. That's way too long. Let's break it up and let's stop in between. So our original idea was that we were going to stop in Alabama and go see the Gulf Shores. So if you've never heard of them, the Gulf Shores in Alabama, guys, they're beautiful. And unfortunately, I did not take this photo because we did not do that. The timeline didn't really work out to where we could do that as much as we wanted. It also would have just been an extra expense trying to get an Airbnb down there, trying to get there with a dog, with the, the trailer, not the trailer, the moving truck, all of those things. It was just too much. So instead, we decided to stop at Mobile, Alabama, and just get a hotel for the night and break up those first 12 and a half hours into 6 and some change and 6 and some change. So we left first thing on a Friday morning, and the good news is my husband, he works remote, so he can work from anywhere. We had just taken off about 2.5 weeks for both our honeymoon in Greece, which was 2 weeks long. And then on the way back from our honeymoon, we stayed in New York City for a couple of days to find our apartment. So he was not trying to take off any more time. I mean, having unlimited PTO is great, but we're not trying to, take advantage. So I mapped it out to where, okay, if you only have to take off maybe one day, right? And we purposely scheduled all of this to where the July 4th holiday was going to fall within all of this, which actually gave him time off, which was super great. It also worked well with our lease and the ending of our last apartment. Everything was just perfect. So we left the morning of Friday the 28th, and we just drove straight to Mobile. That was probably the roughest. I feel like, let me see how long that was. So that was the longest leg of the trip by far, and it was about 7.5 hours from Houston to Mobile, and that's without stopping and going the actual speed limit. So for us, it took closer to like 10 hours because we had a dog, we were constantly stopping, we were swapping, we were taking turns. It was a pretty long drive, but we made it to Alabama. Neither of us had been to that state before, so boom, let's check off another state, which again, that is killing another bird with one stone because we both have a goal to visit all 50 states before we die. So this was another great way to do that. And then we just stayed the night there, and the next morning we woke up and only drove about 5 hours to get to his auntie's house in Atlanta, which was super great. So we got there Saturday afternoon, and we ended up getting to have dinner with them Saturday night, and then we ended up just staying one night, but we did get to explore their area Sunday morning / afternoon, which was super nice because Monish and I had both been to Georgia separately on different occasions, but we got to actually explore Georgia together, which was nice. And we got to spend time with family, which is of course nice too. So then that Sunday evening, we left and we went to his other auntie's house in South Carolina. So we did that purposefully. We were hoping to stay a little bit longer in Georgia, but with Monish having to work, we figured it would be best if we could just drive in Sunday evening, and that way Monish could wake up Monday morning and he could work from home at his auntie's house. And that actually worked out super great. The drive from his auntie's house in Georgia to South Carolina was barely 3.5 hours. I mean, it took us 4 because again, we stop a lot, but that's nothing, right? Especially after having driven 7.5 hours the first day and then 5.5 the second day. Now it's 3.5, nothing. So we stayed with that auntie for 2 nights, and we actually got to see other family while we were there too, which was super great. That honestly, I hadn't got to spend much time with Yuki Foy just yet, and so it was super nice to get to just spend quality time with her while Monish was working. And then from there, we drove up to, not Raleigh, it's right outside of Raleigh in North Carolina. So his uncle's house in North Carolina, again, it was about 5 hour drive total. We went ahead and decided we're going to do that when he's done working one of the days. So he did take off work a little bit earlier, and we drove straight there again, taking turns like we did. And man, This uncle, I had been wanting to come to his house. Jigger Kaka has a really nice big house. They have fun toys. They have kids. So what do you know? Go figure. But this uncle, I really enjoy like hanging out and talking with. So we ended up staying up until like 1 a.m. just like talking and catching up on life. And we only had the one night with them. We had previously planned on 2, but his son had a cricket tournament. So we cut that one night short and we just got to spend as much time as we could together. But that was really, really nice. I hadn't been to North Carolina. Ooh, we had Chuski Gola. I had that for the first time, which is an Indian like snow cone, which was actually so good. I'd never had that before, even in India, which is strange looking back. But that was great. And then the next morning, we had lunch with one of his cousins. So we got to see even more family. So even though as of now, we had only stayed at 3 different family members' homes, we actually got to see way more family members, which is super great. Everybody is spread out, but also there's some that are close. So it's something really cool about his big family that I just love and I find so fun. And this is something I wanted when I was growing up. So to be honest, this was super, super, it just was great for me to get to go spend time with now my family, because they're my family now. And then from there, the next evening, we drove up to Maryland. So from North Carolina to Maryland, it was closer to 6 hours without all the stops that we do. It was much, much longer for us. But that's okay. We made it. It was great. We went to go stay with his cousin Hatwi, who I was part of her wedding. So was Monish, and she and him have been generally pretty close over the years, and I've gotten pretty close with her as well. So we ended up staying with him for 3 nights, which was fun because it was also over 4th of July. So they have a son, Mivan, who we got to spend time with, which is super great, our nephew. And that was just really fun. We got to just enjoy and relax and stay in one place for 3 nights. Although I will say, guys, by this time, we have been gone for an entire week and we're still not in New York City yet. We have clearly spread it out. We're just enjoying it. And my poor puggy, my little Dukesters, he was looking at me. By the time we got to his cousin's house in Maryland, he gave me this look like, are we home yet? That little cutie. I know, I felt so bad. I was like, we're almost there, babies. I promise. So Monish and I had done a really great job of taking Duke all kinds of places with us over the last couple years since we first got him. And so he's used to being on the road. He didn't mind being in the car. He didn't mind going to other people's houses, but he was tired. And I could tell he was just ready to snuggle in bed with us and not have to sleep in his crate in other people's homes anymore. So after that, from Maryland, we went straight here into New York City, and voila, here we are. So because we are coming up on 1 year anniversary of us living here in New York City, I am going to make a follow-up video. So if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to do that. And I'm going to give you a recap of what it's like living in New York City for the first year. Especially because I came from Texas. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in Texas. This is the first time I've ever lived outside of the state of Texas. I had a lot of people telling me that I was not gonna like New York City, that I was gonna be moving back so quick, and I cannot wait to tell you whether or not they were right. So again, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned to hear the recap about how the first year in New York City has been.